Americans viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 climate justice campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 climate justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580. 1580.
Hey Zoe, I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes 2 to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
This is the difference between ultimatums and boundaries, put simply. Ultimatums are focused on creating punishments when your partner or the people in your life are not being who you want them to be. Ultimatums are typically just another way of manipulating your partner to feel less safety being themselves around you. Don't stop being avoidant. I'm never gonna be secure. I'm gonna leave you. You're really focused on your partner doing something different. They're the ones that have to change so that you stay with them. In general, it's very manipulative to threaten leaving someone whenever they're not being who you want them to be. However, boundaries are educating your partner on how you will respond to their behavior. So if you're in an argument and your partner continues to just blame you, talk disrespectfully to you, cut you off, etc., 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 boundary is, I am trying to love you and have this conversation so that we can reconnect, but I'm noticing that you continue to cut me off. I do not accept you showing up this way to this conversation. Do not accept the way that you're treating me in this conversation. If this continues, I'm going to exit this conversation and you can reach back out to me when you're ready to talk to me respectfully. Ultimatums would have said, if you don't stop cutting me off, I'm ending everything, because because I can't fucking stand you like this. It's like putting a mirror too close to someone's face and then expecting them to accept that and correct their behavior. Have you ever noticed when you say your ultimatum, it makes them treat you worse? It's because you're putting the mirror too close. When you put the mirror too
wait a minute. Hold on. So, are we saying boundaries are an extension of self-respect, and boundaries are for us, and ultimatums are a tool of manipulation? I'm interested to know. And I'm interested to know what you think. Do you find yourself using ultimatums? Have you used ultimatums in your intimate relationships? Are you trying to control your partner? I want to talk to people who are open and honest about their controlling tendencies in relationship. And where there is a controller, can we also deduce that there is a manipulator? Where one seeks to control, one is also open to using manipulative tactics in order to gain that control or maintain that control. Tonight's topic, blurred lines. An intriguing look at the differences between ultimatums and healthy, sustainable boundaries. Do you think your relationship has boundaries in place, healthy ones, or do you think your relationship flourishes under the my way or the highway based ultimatums that many of us may have thrown around at some point? Call me. I want to know your thoughts here. 1-800-920-1580. The power struggle of boundaries. Are you setting limits or wielding control when boundaries become weapons? A radical rethink of relationship power dynamics. Question: is the modern obsession with boundary setting disguising deeper issues of emotional manipulation and or control? 1-800-920-1580. Talk to me about it. Healthy boundaries can only exist in relationships where autonomy and mutual respect are valued over dominance and submission. Wow. That gets to the crux of, a lot of the conversations that we have out here in these social media, radio, podcast streets. Men feel a woman should submit by default of his gender. I'm the man and I'm the default leader of this situation. You should submit willingly. Women might feel manipulated and controlled in that experience, in that condition, in that circumstance. I want to know what you think. Ladies, call in. Talk to me. Have you used ultimatums to get him to act right? I want to know. Brothers, have you done the same? Ultimatums versus boundaries. The hidden narcissism behind non-negotiables. Is your boundary really just a cleverly disguised power play? Can we have a real discussion tonight? I know better than most that our minds might be on something else tonight. Listen, I'm from Pasadena, raised in Pasadena and Altadena. I know, man. The cities are on fire now. Hollywood, the Hollywood Hills are on fire. I know LA is going through it right now. But you still got to go home to somebody. Right? You still got to go home to somebody. And when you go home to somebody, you still have to be a willing participant in this thing we call relationship, which requires self-work. Right? And I would say self-work is at the top of the list. And then we work together after we've, dealt with our own issues. That's why tonight's topic is so powerful. Do you know an unhealthy relationship in a natural disaster Oh my God. Do you know the effects? They only get exacerbated, right? When things around us are going crazy and we're already, discombobulated internally. My goodness, can you imagine the pressure that puts on a relationship? All we got to do is go back 5 years. 2020, we jump right into COVID. And you saw the domestic violence numbers spike. Why? Because people aren't doing the work. See, when good times are happening, people are focusing on the good times. These good times. We try to fix things and save things when we missed all of the signs that something was going on, even in the good times. Something was going on that made them go, I didn't like the way they did that. They harbor it. So let's talk about boundaries versus ultimatums. Are we conflating, right, emotional coercion with self-respect in our pursuit of relational autonomy? Ultimatums often reflect a lack of trust in the partner's autonomy and a deeper fear of rejection masquerading as empowerment. I want to know, do you have healthy boundaries in place? Do you know how to create a healthy boundary? Is a healthy boundary a wall or a gateway? 1-800-920-1580. Get to your phone lines. The number to dial is 1-800-920-1580. I want to hear from Carl from Pasadena. Carl, I want to hear from you tonight, brother. I want to make sure that you're all right. I need you to check in. Carl from Pasadena. I know the people who listen to this show remember Carl. He calls in from time to time with great wisdom and insight. I just want to make sure you're all right. Right? The hidden trauma of healthy relationships. Why boundaries aren't always the solution. Attachment wounds, emotional scars, and the myth of boundaries as healing tools. Here's a question for you. Do boundaries perpetuate cycles of avoidance in relationship rather than fostering authentic intimacy? Listen, that's such a powerful question. You might be thinking you have a boundary when in fact you've built a moat to keep your partner separate from you. Boundaries are gateways. If your partner has the code, they can come in. Right? Typically our partners have the code and we let them in. Boundaries are not impenetrable. But sometimes ultimatums are. Are ultimatums ultimately punitive? Are they a punishment that we exact on our partners? I want to know. Very interesting stuff tonight. Over-reliance on boundaries may signal unresolved trauma and an aversion to vulnerability rather than true relational growth. We live in a codependency culture, I believe. Why we're addicted to setting boundaries, and how do we get setting those boundaries wrong? Do you know what a healthy boundary looks like? Do you know what an unhealthy boundary looks like? Are your childhood wounds that have been unresolved, are they helping to create these boundaries? Right? Are boundaries creating emotional distance that prevent us from truly healing codependent tendencies? Right? Effective boundaries are not walls, but bridges that foster safety and connection without compromising self-respect. Is the tyranny of boundaries here. How narcissists exploit emotional safety to control you. Do we weaponize empathy when boundaries become a tool of manipulation? I've got so many questions on this topic. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know how you move in your relationships. When you feel as if you need to establish a boundary with the person that is the closest to you. When I come forward, I'm going to dig deeper into this topic, and I implore you to get to your phone lines. Call me right now, 1-800-920-1580. Trust me, on the voice of reason, we've always got a lot to talk about.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
What is the difference between a boundary and an ultimatum? I've heard you talk about both of them, but I can't figure out the difference. It seems like one is good and one is bad. Can you clarify? That's an awesome question. Here's how I would define boundary versus ultimatum. And they come down to the purpose of each one. A boundary is a way I am seeking connection in a healthy way. It is me saying, hey, I would like to remain in relationship with you. I would like to continue to work here. I would like to have a healthy relationship with you. And here's what I need to stay whole and well. So my boundary is I go to bed at 10 o'clock. If we're going to do crazy fun things, if we're going to have this rambunctious sex life, awesome, it's got to happen before 10, because if I don't go to bed by 10, then I've got to get up at 5 to take care of the kids, to do X and Y and Z, and it's going to cause challenges. Or, hey, listen, I want to work here, but you can't talk to me like that. That's a boundary, right? This is what I need to be healthy here. Ultimatum, I consider ultimatum the line in the sand, right? It's a power move. It's not a way it's not me trying to reach out and remain connected to you. It is me saying no more, or I will scorch the earth around us, right? So an ultimatum is, if you cross this line, this is when I disconnect from you. So an ultimatum is a statement of disconnection. This is it, no more. A boundary is, this is what I need to be well. So one is me communicating with you, hey, this is what I need for us to stay connected. And the other one is, this is the line I draw. You cross this line and we are disconnected. And I know they sound, that's like, you just said the same thing backwards. Think of them on, so beat up on this word right now, but think of those on a spectrum. A boundary is a conversation about how I'm going to remain healthy in this relationship. An ultimatum says, here is the line, and if you cross it, this relationship is over. I'm done. I'm out. I'm moving out. I'm finished. I quit, right? Those are the difference there. One of them is
very interesting. Andy, you look like you were caught up in what he was saying. Andy, do you use boundaries or ultimatums? Or have you used both? Look at it. Andy says he uses boundaries. I want to know if you use boundaries, right? The line between healthy boundaries and ultimatums is both subtle and profound, existing at the intersection of emotional regulation, communication, and relational power dynamics. This exploration on tonight's episode of The Voice of Reason, I'm seeking to unravel the complexities of these concepts, dissecting the underlying motivations, perceptions, and outcomes that distinguish boundaries from ultimatums. While boundaries serve as expressions of self-respect and relational clarity, ultimatums often arise from control, fear, or a desperate attempt to enforce change. Do you really think you can make your partner change? I think often we try to change our partners, and sometimes the tool we may use or weaponize in this case are ultimatums. By integrating insights from psychology, attachment theory, neuroscience, and spiritual teachings on this topic, we will try to examine how unresolved trauma, narcissistic tendencies, codependency, and attachment wounds influence the ability to set and perceive boundaries. Because sometimes our boundaries are imperceptible, or our partners act that way, right? At the heart of this inquiry lies a deeper philosophical question. How can individuals navigate the delicate balance between self-preservation and mutual respect in relationships without succumbing to coercive or destructive patterns? I want to know what you guys think, right? Are you someone who came from a family that used ultimatums, and you just carried it over to your adult relationships? Blurred lines. A deeper look at the difference between ultimatums and healthy, sustainable boundaries. Let's get it. We got callers on the line. I want to talk to folk. Nzinga from Pensacola, Florida. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Hey, good evening. Glad you came in today with everything going on.
Yes. Thank you for having me here. Let's go.
You're welcome. So think some of us were modeled through ultimatum, but I would say it was more maybe like a dictatorship when you're, a parent over a child.
Mm-hmm.
You're often, sometimes the directive is an ultimatum. A lot of times, do what I say. Child should be seen, I heard. And so I think once people mature, they don't know boundaries. They know ultimatums. And sometimes ultimatums in the form of ghosting, I think that's an ultimatum. Like you upset me. I didn't communicate with you. And so now we're done. The only thing is the message was never delivered.
Wow.
And so I think when you're kind of modeled with that, that's all you know. You don't really know boundaries. You're not really taught boundaries.
So you're really telling me we're taught to fight in relationships psychologically. We're taught to see our partner as a potential opponent when they don't fall in line with what we want.
Almost. And I remember a long time ago you saying sometimes people use boundaries as walls.
Mm-hmm.
And before I really learned what boundaries were, because, it's something very, very new to me, it was almost like I was at war in relationship, whether it be familial, intimate, a friendship. I think that I did that a lot to people.
Wait, stay with me, Nzinga, because you're cooking right now. And I love the ingredients you're using. When we come forward, we're opening up the phone lines to anybody that wants to participate in tonight's riveting conversation. I want to know, which do you prefer, an ultimatum or a healthy boundary? When we come forward, trust me, we got a lot to talk about.
I can get on the telephone and call you up, baby. And honey, I know you'll be there to relieve me. The love you give to me will free me. If you don't know the thing you're dealing, oh, I can tell you, darling, that it's sexual healing. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Let's make love tonight. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. 'Cause you do it right.
He's on fire tonight. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Los Angeles firefighters are battling a new fire dubbed the Sunset Fire near Runyon Canyon, spreading toward Hollywood Boulevard. Residents are urged to evacuate as wildfires across Southern California leave at least 5 dead, multiple injured, and over 300,000 without power. Black New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is emphasizing the importance of the city receiving a Tier 1 threat rating for Carnival after a New Year's attack, bringing up to 1,000 federal officers from February 21st to March 4th. Brookhaven, Mississippi leaders have fired a police officer tied to a dismissed attempted murder case. A judge recently threw out charges against Gregory and Brandon Case, accused of shooting at a black FedEx driver in 2022 after a mistrial received. And Minneapolis Police Department swore in its largest and most diverse class in years after losing 500 officers since George Floyd's 2020 murder. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is for all the folks who appreciate follow-through. Here's a quick recap of the KBLA Talk 1580 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. More than 6.4 million Southern Californians viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, Our 2024 climate justice campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 climate justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
She was
Okay, in today's quick video, I'm answering the question about the difference between boundaries and ultimatums. Someone wrote in and said, I'm trying to establish a boundary in my relationship, and the person is accusing me of giving them an ultimatum. Well, I don't know if you gave them an ultimatum, but boundaries are not synonymous with ultimatums. I can tell you that much. The way that I teach boundaries in the book and in my courses is that they are made up of your preferences, desires, limits, and deal breakers, right? You must know what those things are in order to then communicate them in your relationships. I want you to think about boundaries as your own personal rules of engagement, right? We are letting people in our life know what is okay with us and what is not okay with us. So if what you're talking about, the person who wrote in, is something that, if it is a deal breaker for you, meaning you can't stay in this relationship if this thing does not get resolved, or if the person doesn't acquiesce to what you're requesting, then you have to know that. And if they want to perceive it as an ultimatum, it kind of is an ultimatum. And we all have a right to be like, what is my limit? I had a client who was in a relationship with someone who had 5 years sober. And the person in recovery knew that my client was like, but if you relapse and don't get back on the horse, I cannot be in a relationship with you if you are an active alcoholic. And then that happened, and she had to make the decision about how long would she be supporting this person while they were getting back to meetings and, talking to their sponsor and getting some time under their belt. And they kept trying to get sober, but it was not working, and they kept relapsing. And so that was a deal breaker for her. And she had to have the conversation that said, I love you. I hope you figure it out. I cannot be in a relationship with you while you're an active addict. And there was time. It wasn't like the person relapsed and 3 days later she gave an ultimatum. There was like months and months and months of this person saying they're going to get clean and all the stuff. So anyway, I hope that's a good example of a boundary that is a deal breaker. And so the person who was trying to get back into recovery, yes, to them, was that an ultimatum? Yeah, because that's what a deal breaker is. But it wasn't anything she was doing to them. She was saying, this is what I can handle in my life. This is a boundary I need for my own mental wellness. And that's what our boundaries do. They protect us. They protect our self-respect, our integrity, but they also protect our relationships. So I want to know what you guys think about the difference between boundaries.
Yo, that was clear to me. I understood the boundary, and I understood that it was also a non-negotiable. So now we're looking at tiers of boundaries where you're doing something destructive to yourself, right? I love you, and for my mental health, I'm not going to always be here to help you do that thing, or to look the other way, or to act as if it doesn't bother me. This is hurting me. So if you don't have whatever it is in you to want to, change course, then of course this is going to be the end result of that, right? Not an ultimatum, but from the perspective of the person that it's being issued to, they made an ultimatum. No, I'm just saying that's a deal breaker to go on this journey with you as you destroy yourself. Very interesting perspective. I think that the sister's name was Susan Winter. Yeah, that was Susan Winter. She was breaking it down. That was good stuff. Have you ever found yourself in a scenario like that? Get to your phone lines. Number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. Let's go back to Pensacola, Florida. Inzinga, please finish. You were cooking. You was really, really cooking.
That was a good, that was a really good clip. It kind of put me in the mindset of boundaries help you or stop you from going to war with yourself.
Right.
Because I think, a lot of times oftentimes she said that ultimatums and boundaries aren't synonymous but I do think ultimatums are born because you did not set boundaries. So then you have to have that I'm not playing with you conversation, or this is the last time I'm going to tell you conversation because you didn't establish any boundaries in the beginning. And I think that can be very self-defeating, that feeling when you should have done something, and now you're upset with yourself because you went against yourself, which is the worst person to go against, I think.
So you know what that sounds like to me though, Nzinga? If I may, that sounds like a Hail Mary. And you know, the Hail Mary is where we at the end of the game, I'm gonna throw this up. Like that's what the ultimatum sounds like. It's like a last ditch effort. And I think those rarely work out. And based off of what you just shared with me, it also sounds like the way you start is how you finish it. So if you didn't start the relationship with boundaries, or, appropriate boundaries in place, the ultimatum seeps in when we start to recognize like, oh, this is going sideways. I'm going to throw this ultimatum to see if I can pull it back into alignment. But that, like we said, typically that rarely works. What are your thoughts on that?
It doesn't work because you didn't set the line of demarcation up. You didn't, the Mason-Dixon, you didn't set it up. You can't cross this line because if you do, this line represents what I don't like, and if you do, then, maybe not the ultimatum at first, but, because once you give an ultimatum to a person, they don't care. Because it's been already an established a pattern, if you will, of disrespect at that point. That's the only reason that you're setting the ultimatum, in my opinion.
So let me give you an example. Like, can you set an ultimatum? Like, you're a wife, I'm the husband. I smoke cigars. Can you come to me and say, listen, this is your last year of smoking cigars, or I'm out? Do you understand? That's what I want to give, like a basic example of how that might be problematic, or how would you go about bringing it to my attention, or helping me to realize, like, hey, maybe this is hurting me, and in turn hurting you, right? I would like to know, like, or I want to know, how would you present that to me?
Well, I'm assuming that you were smoking cigars when I met you. I mean, to me, that's if you go to the doctor and he's saying there's something wrong with your lungs, or you have emphysema, some type of COPD type of situ,
right?
Then, okay, look, this is I can't watch you die. I'm not gonna watch you die.
Right.
So
right.
It's either, I think that type of situation warrants an ultimatum. But if it's just something like, oh, I don't like the smell of cigarettes, well, you knew you didn't like the smell of cigarettes when you met him 7 years ago. So, I mean, I don't know if I could. I mean, I don't know if I would give you an ultimatum about smoking now. I don't know.
Okay, so let me give you this one. My daughter just gave me an ultimatum. Right? This is why I leave the energy drink in the car. She said, if I see you with another energy drink, I'm going to take it. Listen, this is my 25-year-old. I'm going to take it from you, and I'm going to pour it out. And I'm like, what? You going to take it from me? And then she goes on this long diatribe about how it's not good for me, and, you already don't sleep, and blah, blah, blah. But she really laid out a whole, like, I'm going to attack you and take the energy drink. So now when I go see her, I get a few sips of the energy drink before I go in the crib, and then I leave it in the car.
In the crib. I know they can tell. They can tell. But I guess that you can't break up with your daughter. So that's
you can't.
I think that a familiar ultimatum is going to be a little bit different than an intimate one. But if it's something that I can see that's visibly harming me, then I can see myself working up to, look, here's the deal. You're either going to leave that alone, or I'm going to leave because it's hurting you, and I can't, just like the example in the clip you just played. I can't I can't sit here and watch you deteriorate. I won't sit here and watch you deteriorate.
Right.
You know, so if it's for health reasons, definitely, because every time I watch you do that, then it's like I'm going to war with myself. And if I am the most important relationship that I will ever have, I cannot go against myself. Because I don't know about you, but every time I go against myself, it takes me a while to get over that.
So you kind of with ultimatums ultimately.
Born out of if we both established boundaries and rules at the onset of the relationship union, and then you feel that you can trample on them at your whim, then I think that's a whole nother thing. And out of that, I think ultimatums are sometimes can be born out of, habitual line steppers.
Ooh wee. Oh, so a line in the sand, the ultimatum, versus the habitual line stepper.
Yeah, because people, I think they will, if relationship is a mirror, and my therapist said that relationships can be the most triggering thing, but they don't come with trigger warnings. And so I think sometimes people will contest you to see where you stand, if they can do it.
So,
and there's that aspect too.
So here's a healthy boundary, in my opinion. Zoe, you were smoking when I met you. You've been smoking cigars. Okay. But this is my rule. You can't smoke in the house or in the car. And when you come in or before you come in, you have to thoroughly aerosol yourself down with some smell good so everything doesn't smell like cigars. That's a boundary. Do you agree or disagree?
I do agree, because I stopped smoking. I stopped with nicotine in 2017.
Wait, before you give me this story, I want to just stay with me. When we come forward, back to Pensacola.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, my friends, the time has come. Raise the roof and have some fun. Throw away the work to be done. Let the music play on. Everybody sing, everybody dance. Lose yourself in wild romance. We're going to party, caramba, fiesta, forever. Come on and sing along. We're going to party, caramba, fiesta, forever.
So first and foremost, you can think of boundaries essentially as being these guides or limits that define where you end and somebody else begins in a relationship. And we set boundaries in order to maintain our well-being, to protect our values or morals, or to define like where our personal domain is in relationship to people around us. And boundaries are supposed to be communicated in a way that's essentially allowing you to share your true self with other people. It's really easy to people please. It's really easy to wear your mask and be on your best behavior because that's something society essentially conditions us to do for so long. It can be a little more challenging, but also much more rewarding to share your truth about your boundaries. So to let people know if you need time alone, to let people know what is acceptable for you in a relationship or what's not acceptable and not okay. And what that actually involves you doing is taking down your mask, being vulnerable, really sharing your truth with somebody else so they can see you and know you, and also as a byproduct of that, know how to treat you.
Wait, pause that. Hold on. She is intimating, Thais Gibson is the content creator here. She's intimating that in order to set healthy boundaries, you must be willing to take off your mask and be vulnerable. Now, what's very interesting about that notion is when you're dealing with insecure attachment, whether it's anxious, preoccupied, fearful, avoidant, disorganized, or dismissive avoidance, sometimes that vulnerability piece is tough. So that means because of your insecure attachment style, you may have difficulty in creating healthy boundaries. You may not know what healthy boundaries even look like. You may not even know how to construct one. This is heavy talk. Let her finish. Let her cook.
Product of that, know how to treat you. So some different things you'd see in regards to boundaries are communicating, what kind of tone is important for you to be spoken to. If you find that somebody's sharp with you with their tone all the time, or to tell somebody when you do need space or time to yourself in order to recharge. Or a boundary can be you just sharing about different communication preferences as a whole, with texting, with calling, these sorts of things. And what you're doing is you're also allowing the standards to be set in a relationship in a really healthy way because you're doing it transparently and openly. And boundaries are never meant to control or manipulate somebody. They are essentially meant to share yourself and your truth with somebody else, which will in turn allow you to know whether or not you're actually compatible with somebody. Because if you're sharing your...
One of my boundaries, I have, I don't know don't know. Maybe it's not a boundary. Maybe it's just a rule. Because boundaries sound like rules. I have a rule. There is absolutely no arguing allowed in my house. If you want to have an argument with me, let's go outside. I got a park right next to the crib. Let's go to the park, and then you can yell and cuss and do it. If you do that in my house, I guess I'm going to behave like it's an ultimatum. I'm going to be like, you got to get out. Do you understand what sometimes we can get tripped up on the differences between ultimatums and boundaries. Let me get Pensacola back in here. And Zinga, please finish your thought. You were cooking.
Well, I think to someone who doesn't have boundaries, boundaries will sound like ultimatums if you've never established them for yourself, if you didn't grow up, if you grew up in a house where, you were enmeshed and, everybody was in your business, there are no boundaries. So for someone setting them, it may be very offensive to someone who hasn't had to, had the opportunity to set boundaries.
That's good stuff.
But for me, like I said, I quit nicotine. So it would be more like just washing your hands and, maybe putting a mint in your mouth. Because I won't lie, I do miss the smell. Sometimes when somebody smells like cigarettes or a cigar, I'm like, or pipe. So I can't lie. I'm not going to sit here and be holier than thou. I enjoyed smoking cigarettes. I enjoyed it, So, and sometimes when I see my friends be having a drink and they're smoking their cigarette, I'll be like, ooh, I remember what that was like. But then as soon as I'm like, we don't do that no more. So
I love it. I love it. Hey, and Zinga, guess what you just did?
I brought Pensacola in the building.
And Zinga, I appreciate you. You brought Pensacola in the building. If you want to bring your city in the building, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. I'm tripping over my words, but that's okay. Let's get it.
People dancing all in the street. See the rhythm all in their feet. Life is good, wild and sweet. Let the music play on, play on, play on. Feel it in your heart.